Welcome to another edition of the Gratitude Podcast. I recorded the first 10 episodes, just me talking, and I ran out of things to say. And then I said, okay, I'm going to think about who are the most amazing people I know in my life out there, anywhere in the world. And I reached out to several people and I said, you're an amazing person. I want to know how your mind works. And today we're treated to another amazing human being. And she's not related to Tony Robbins, even though her name is LBR, Laurie-Beth Robbins. And I can't remember exactly how we met, but I think that was part of the first conversation. But I have never met another person in the world that has such command of the English language and uses these words that I don't know. I've never heard before. They're always fascinating, like she is, like her personality is. I was joking a little bit before we started the show that I'm going to count how many words I have never heard before, and I know that it's going to be at least a dozen. It's just such a beautiful honor and pleasure to have Laurie-Beth Robbins here. She talks about cooking and meats and cognacs and all sorts of amazing things. I don't know how her mind developed, but let's dig in and find out how that happened. So Laurie-Beth, welcome to the Gratitude Podcast.
Well, thank you so much. With an introduction like that, how grateful am I? And you are such a high energy, revivifying, beautiful spirit that galvanizes all of us every single day on the beach, wherever you are, world traveling, trekking around this big, beautiful world. And so for me to share some space and time with you, even in the technological world, is an honor. So thank you.
So that was the first one. Something like that.
All right. There will be a quiz at the end. Words are part of my love language, as they coin the phrase, but certainly also tomahawk steak chops and cognac and all of the gourmand obligation in this world. But I do love words, and I love that we should be of our word. And that's a lot of how my mind developed, in the sense of what we bring to the table, and also through what we speak and what we serve forward with our word.
That was a beautiful statement that you just said, that of our words, or be of our words.
Yes.
And so I want to kind of just probe a little bit, because we've talked about this in the past, like how your mind developed, your upbringing and some of that. So for the people that are listening in that are looking for clues on their journey, what happened in your journey that allowed you to evolve into this incredible woman that you are?
Well, thank you very much. I had a bit of a rocky start, which I think all of us do. I don't think there's a human on the planet who hasn't experienced the vicissitudes of life with that comprised passion. Of course, one of the definitions of passion being joy, but also suffering, the passion of the Christ, or the passion of this. We know that word with both suffering and joy. And at a young age, I would overcome bullying and these things on the playground, the school bus at school, by joining public speaking. It was the public speaking that would pull me into a zone, and quite frankly, where I was supposed to be. And when I was in my zone, something very magical happened and developed in those formative and impressionable years, in that I couldn't hear them. I no longer could hear my bullies, you see, if I was standing and delivering, if I was up front and center, if I was there to make a difference and to share my word and honor it and hope that it made some kind of an illuminating, uplifting moment or shift in somebody else's day. And with that prowess and that focus and that oratorical excitement, if you will, I was catapulted into a different place, and that would catalyze me forward and teach me that I did love to perform, to speak, to stand and deliver, and words that I'm a firm believer, we must be very careful with our sacred and sacrosanct words, because there are bells that you cannot unring. And so when we say something, even if it for 2 minutes gives us a little bit of an ego rush, or we feel really important for being right or saying what we wanted to say, you can't take that back. And you can take back tangible things. You can move someone, you can give them presents, you can change a situation with externals, but you cannot change what they already heard and absorbed and have emotional scarring from. So I take the word as a very sacred gift. Your word is your gift. Your speech is your gift. It is your hug. It is your enveloping engulfment to other people. It is a toast and a dose of you. And so when they go home and say, I got to sit down with Robert Radnaughty today, they should have a little taste of you, a little dose of you, a little flavor, a little something that they carried with them and got a feeling about. And if you just go and mumble and look down, or you say something flippant because you're tired and you're in pain and you don't care about your word, we have more of a repercussion than we know. So that was a big part of my development, was the public speaking side, and then in tandem with food. And lastly, on that, I would barter with my parents to be taken to gourmet restaurants in reward for winning speech tournaments. And so the food and the public speaking became my loves, and both of them have still been very integral in my world today.
So how did that happen? Were you just born this way, that you wanted to publicly speak? You wanted to eat gourmet foods? I don't know any kid that ever wanted to eat gourmet foods. They want to go to McDonald's.
I know. When I was 6 years old, and we're talking about rural Vermont, the mountains of rural Vermont, no less, 2 hours south of Montreal, Canada. So very north, very cold, but with very warm people. And I came from humble middle income means, and yet my parents did more than they could. They tried to expose us to culture, take us to Montreal to exhibits. We had 2,000 some odd books lining our tiny, tiny home in the living room, stacked upon stacked, some going down the stairs to the basement, and 4 fondue pots. Our priorities with even little means was the food and the wine, and coming together at the table, talking about your day, raising a goblet of gratitude. So from the age of 10, I was served a tiny glass of wine with my dinner at home. It was never ever a get drunk thing. It was part of the meal. It was to be appreciated. My father even had a lot to do with that, leaving an indelible mark within my soul about that. And I got his gift of gab. He was a natural extemporaneous speaker without notes and a professor. And he always said that your wine is a celebratory thing. It is never ever to go drown your sorrows in. You don't go have a drink because you had a tough day. You wait, you get out of that funk, and when you feel better and you're ready to celebrate and you're happy, now you can have your drink. And to this day, I do that. If I'm in a huff, I say, no, don't even have it right now. That's not what it's about. You have it when you've gotten through this little bit. And then I get through the bit because I want to enjoy my cognac and I want to enjoy my libation and my food. But at the age of 6 years old, I asked my parents in rural Vermont for frog legs and octopus to eat. Not to play with, not to go to a museum and see them, but to eat. And they have no idea. We had a little black and white television in an unfinished basement that got 2 channels and snow. I did not see this on a commercial. We're talking 1976. I'm level 53 of life now. I was at 6 years old. In the mountains of Vermont. They were fresh out of octopus and frog legs. And they don't know where that came from. My siblings didn't want that. My friends weren't eating that. But from the depths of wherever, and all we can say is that when my mom was pregnant with me, I apparently gave her false labor for what she thought was months. And she said to my father, I'm going to be induced. And if I'm bringing this kid into the world finally, I want a righteous steak dinner, replete with wine. That was when pregnant women drank wine, or my mother did. She probably doesn't want me saying that now, but she did. And my father took her to a steak dinner, and she had a bone-in ribeye and red wine, and they went directly from the white linen tablecloth to a white-walled hospital room, and I came into the world. So the power of suggestion, we say, was already spoken into being in the birthing direct route. They did not pass go. They did not go home and pack a bag. They went, I came into the world requesting a Premier Grand Cru Bordeaux from the medical staff, or a rack of elk chops or so. The jury is still out on it. But I do think that something influenced it. And they
Wow.
fostered it. They fostered it. They didn't shut it down as a kid and say, eat your hot dogs and shut up. They said frog legs. And they went on a crusade before the internet, trying to find whatever they could to expose me to that, to their credit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great story. Okay, so let's take the normal person that might be listening here.
Yes.
And they hear your story and they say, huh, I've always been afraid of public speaking.
Yes.
And it's I think that's a huge fear, if not one or two fear in the world. I think public speaking is number one fear, and
Yes.
number two is death or something like that.
Yeah.
So how can you, who someone has never had that fear apparently since you came out from coming from the restaurant to the hospital, how would you suggest to people that they overcome that fear, or that they become a speaker in their own right?
Yes, everybody can. And years ago, I was an adjunct college professor in tandem with travel and conducting wine tastings and private chefing and things in myriad form. And one of the joys was that one of the classes I would teach during that time was public speaking. And something that I created to rewrite or reshape, rephrase, and think the notion of fear is literally to come up with a fun acronym, if you will, and take the letters of fear. And if you look at the F right away, starting out of the starting gates, it is a freedom to get to speak. And they're still going into 2024. There are countries and places where people do not have that freedom. And so when someone says you have a toast to give at a wedding, you have a eulogy to give, we'd like you to speak here, and you go, oh my God, I don't want to speak. Start thinking, wow, how lucky am I to live in a land where I was called upon and have a freedom to speak. No one's going to muzzle me. No one's going to dictate. No one's going to say that I'm not allowed to speak. We have the First Amendment. We have freedoms and liberties in this big, beautiful nation. And so when you start thinking about that, you almost change your posture. You feel a little patriotic, if you will. You feel, wow, this is a freedom. And the E, I like to think of as experts, because you may say, I don't feel like an expert in public speaking. But here's the secret. Only experts are asked to give speeches. So if you were even asked to give a toast at your buddy's wedding, then you have been deemed, summoned, called upon, assigned, ordained as an expert. You may not have known you were an expert, but you were asked to give a speech even in a class. And so you are now an expert. You may as well step into the role. And the A is the alternative. While it's a little macabre, I like to say, you could have not woken up today. Okay? Would you rather that you give a speech, or would you rather that you find out the worst news, the really bad news? Would you rather not be here? I think you can, there's a lot of people out there going through a lot of horrific, tragic things, and in the collective with our world, certainly. And so when we play the victim and say, I have to give a speech, poor me, look again, what's the alternative? And the R is reach. And I say, we are not here to swim in mediocrity. We are here to make a difference, and we all have that ability. And so when we speak, we have an amazing freedom, and we're an expert, and it's a better alternative than almost anything else to get up and get to pontificate about things and now make a difference. Make sure you hit the back of the room with your resonating and your volume. Make sure you reach the back of someone's heart and shift them out of their consciousness into a different stratosphere in their day. Make sure you leave people better than how you found them, and make sure you came and did something meaningful and memorable. And so if you are given an opportunity to speak, think of it as, I get to share a little bit of me in somebody else's day, and you will never, ever, even if you're called back to speak because they loved you so much, you will never get that same opportunity, the same sunrise, the same experience ever again. And so make the most of it. Make it the most beautiful celebration and gift that reaches another person. So freedom, expert, the alternative is worse, reach people. When you think of this, your mind is racing, thinking about freedom, and I'm an expert, and I'm going to reach and make a difference. I want to really make it. And suddenly you realize all that fear is gone, because now you're thinking about productive things. You redirected it, or at least I would like to zealously believe that. So, and I do. And I saw students take that and do very well. So I'm proud of them.
Yeah, that was really cool. It reminded me a couple of summers ago, I went to this NLP training with John Grinder in Portugal. And the facilitator of the training program, he was a theatrical guy. His name is Michael Carroll. And we had to stand up and give speeches. And honestly, most of my life, I've been afraid to talk. I've kind of overcome it only in the last year or so. I think because of practicing with podcasts and doing short little videos on the internet, as bad as, people make social media out to be. I think I've evolved because of that. But he did an exercise that it was so impactful for me. He said, before you do a speech, I want you to think of a poem that's emotional to you, and I want you to read it to your small group. And I have one of these poems. It's called The Race. And The Race is this poem about a little boy who gets ready to start a race. I'm a runner, I'm a track coach, so this is really meaningful. And the dad's in the stands, all proud of his son, and he starts the race, and he's get the lead, and then he falls, and he feels so bad because he's let his father down. But he hears a voice about the father saying, get up and win the race. So the boy gets up, and he's behind, and he catches up, and he looks like he's going to get toward the lead, and he falls again. And now he's broken. And it goes on. I think he falls 3 or 4 times. At the end of this moment, and I'm in tears when I read this. And the boy is just broken. And his father says, you won the race, because the whole idea of the race is to get up each time you fall. Yeah. And that's how you win the race. And it's so emotional to me that if I'm going to give a speech, I read that poem before, and it gets me in this state of freedom, of
an expert.
Expert. I don't even know how to spell fear. I went for the A.
Yes, better than the alternative and reach.
Expert, alternative, and reach. So anyway, I don't know why that resonated, but that resonated for me.
Yeah, it's so much about our resilience. And I love The Race, not only because it's apropos to you as a runner. And so what a perfect poem for you to be reading before. But it really links us not only to the childlike mind, which we need to play more and evoke when we're going to speak. Have fun with it. If you ask a child to get up and speak about a topic, even if it's an adult topic, the child will get up and they will just start talking about what they know. They won't say, oh, I don't know about that topic. So when we evoke the childlike mind, when we have the resilience of a race, it doesn't matter. What do they say? It doesn't matter how you started. It matters how you finish. Mm-hmm. And so you start going, you talk about what you do know. You may not know all these things about a subject that you were asked to answer, but you talk about what you do know. You share a personal story, and then you have your resilience, like the runner that you mentioned in that poem, to get back up. If you lost your place, no one else knows that. Keep going. And that's the beauty of extemporaneous speaking, is that nobody knows other than you what your script was. And so you really have the capacity to make it be anything you want and to change it from whatever you thought you were going to speak about. Improvise.
Yeah. Now you have these beautiful presentation speeches that you post on now you're back to Facebook. You went away for a little while, but you're back now and have these amazing talks that help people all over the world. So now I know that those are extremely scripted.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Oh, you're so funny. No, I've never, I am 100% extemporaneous.
I know that. So how do the thoughts, the ideas come to you on what you're going to speak about on Monday or Sunday or whatever days you're doing?
Well, I think that you see what is coming at you, the stimuli, and what do you need? I always chuckle a little when people get on and say, what would you like me to talk about, everybody? And I say, no. That's first of all, let's not have the inmates running the asylum. Is that the expression? But I mean that in all affectionately and as humor for anyone out there thinking I'm mocking anybody. No, we have to have some humor in these times. We have to have the honey and the funny, the love and the laughter. We need both. And I think we need to make humor great again. I think we've lost our propensity to laugh and to love. And so both of those things tend to steer me toward what I will speak about, either something comedic or something very heartfelt to me. But I believe we have to ask, what is it I need today? Not hello, everybody. What would you like? I think I'll take a poll. And what would you like me to talk about? You're going to hear from people if they really want something from you. For example, now doing a cognac tasting and teaching series for the past 20 some odd weeks, and it wraps up at the end of this year. I heard from so many people saying, would you please, before the end of the year, tell us your top 3 affordable cognacs so that we can give holiday gifts to people. And we love all the teaching and the history, but we need like ones we can afford and get a couple bottles as gifts. So I loved that. And there's an example that people will tell you when they do want something specific from you. So don't throw that out there. Meanwhile, ask what it is you need, because if you solve what you need today, maybe you wake up and you feel unmotivated, or you wake up and you don't feel loved. You wake up and you don't feel inspired, whatever it is. But we all, in the human condition, we all have those moments. And if you say, okay, what can I do? Because we all know it's an inside job, of course. And so we can't look for the stimuli to help pull us up like a phoenix. But if we say, what can I give myself? What pep talk? What way can I pull myself up from the bootstraps today and deliver that specific message that I need today? Because I bet if I replenish where I'm feeling tired or fatigued or fragile, I bet it's going to help some other people out there too. And just me getting back in alignment with my better self will help me to help other people in whatever way too, instead of being a little grumplet or whatever I was when I woke up. So I think you have to ask what is inside of you. There's a reason, I believe, there's a reason that you're given an idea. There's a reason that you're thinking of something when you woke up. There's a reason that you're walking to the bathroom, or you're cutting an onion, or you're on the beach running as you do, or you're traveling. And all of a sudden, for some strange reason, you're thinking about the childlike mind, or when kids play, or there's a reason you got that idea and that it didn't go to someone else, or that you didn't get a different idea. So I always say, honor what's coming up and see if there's a way to parlay that into a message that could, in fact, make quite a difference in the lives of others. And as a result, you end up saying, wow, whatever it was that was bothering me earlier is gone. I think I got it out.
Yeah, yesterday I noticed that, and this is going to be aired in 2 or 3 weeks. So yesterday was December 10th, and I was thinking there are 3 weeks left till the end of the year.
Yes.
And this morning when I was walking on the beach, I started thinking, threes. I wonder where threes came from. And then I go, I should listen to Laurie-Beth's talk today. And she said, what did you say?
I said, I'm dealing with the elephant in the room that there are only 3 weeks left of this year. And my favorite number, if one has a favorite number and a favorite day of the week and my favorite day is Tuesday, although I know that every day Mondays matter too. But I love Tuesdays and I love the number 3. I think the best things in life are in threes. Why have 2 when you can have 3? I love 3. And I also love that it's inclusive because, you see couples and you see deuces and I think have a chair for a third. I like the idea of 3. I like that so much. So today I said it's 3 weeks to the day, to January 1, a whole new beginning. And that excites me. I love change. I'm a creature of change, not a creature of habit. So while I get in jags and have the same delicious thing for some while, then I'm in another jag, and while some things stay that are classic, I do love change. And so the idea of anything new, the idea of a new year, the idea of a new week, the idea of a new day, a gift of a day, every single day, I feel grateful. I feel so grateful. And it's a gift and it's exciting and it's an adventure. Everything is a safari to me. You're evoking the animal prowess, the childlike mind. Foods are involved. Corks are popping. You're meeting different people. You're giving your gift. Climactic conditions, change and there's struggle. And yet, as you say, how will you respond? You've spoken about the difference between reacting and responding. And so for me, it's all about improvise. How do you improvise? If you're up in the middle of the winter starting and your nose is running and you're on a podcast, are you going to shut the podcast off and scream and cry? No, you move through this world and you navigate it. And I think that that's exciting. I think it's an adventure.
Well, your little speech prompted me to think about all the things that I still have to do or want to do and will do before the end of the year. And I got really jazzed about it. I got excited about it. Oh, I got lots of things that I'm going to accomplish before the end of the year. And maybe to our audience, any clues for the people that are kind of like, maybe they're winding down to the end of the year? How could we maybe help our audience wind up to the new year?
I think if you think about what hasn't come out of you yet, what side of Robert, Laurie-Beth, Susie, anyway, what side hasn't the world gotten to taste yet? What haven't you fully done? Maybe you've shown them a little of this, maybe you've done a little bit of that, but what is inside of you that obviously is still not, you're being summoned. As I say, we're not here to be milquetoast, put one toe in the water. We're here to dance. And so what part of you, and I know you've been dancing, you've been doing some ballroom dancing, all kinds of things. You're so multidimensional. It's such an honor to be here with someone who does everything. You're like the Bond of the world. You travel, but it's amazing. But I think that there's so many multidimensional sides of all of us. And sometimes we get locked and blocked in a creative, a writer's block, a speaker's block, a performance block, or other things. And instead, why don't you say, okay, if that isn't lighting you up right now, and that's not really pouring out of you, you don't feel like writing a book right now, then that's all right. What part of you is coming up? What's a new side? Maybe you want to learn French this year. Maybe you want to take cooking lessons. Maybe you want to do dancing competitively. Maybe what else does this world need that is inside of you? And it's just excited to get out and try. And I think people who are in a slump or feeling a little bit of like, well, the year's ending, I didn't do what I wanted to do. I don't even have anything exciting planned for the new year. Well, why don't you find something exciting? Because I believe inside of all of us, there is so much. And once you've done that, there's more. And once you've done that, there's more. And then there's stuff you don't even know that you haven't even tried yet. And you might be the best singer. There might be something, all those people they show that started painting in their 80s, or they started, Edie Eger, the Holocaust survivor and psychologist, best-selling author of 2 books at 92. And still seeing clients up until COVID, when people stopped seeing clients or something. And now I don't know if she does again. But these are people who just make you say, okay, wait a minute. If at 92 you decided to write a book, I think at 53 I can get off my derriere and I can try to do something and better the world and better my situation. So I would tell someone, if you're bored, if you're down, if you're frustrated, try something else. What else is calling you?
So do you have some cooking things, some exciting cooking things coming up in the next 3 weeks that you could share?
Well, right now I am in a rotation of the same things, cooking for someone for hire. So right now I'm private chefing, and it's black chicken is healthier than white chicken, black silky chicken. The crispy black skin is healthful. The ancient Chinese herbalists and medicinists use all the parts of the black chicken for health, even powders, bones, all of it. And so it's an entirely different assimilation in the body, but the flavor, the blue-black meat, it's phenomenal. And so anyone out there, usually in an Asian store, some of these tiny little shops, you can find affordable black chicken, usually frozen. And it is, once you have it, it's very hard to eat rubber chicken and plain chicken, even the best brands of chicken, because this is not dry and you don't have to feel guilty eating that skin. It's all healthful, and it has so many, particularly for women, it does a lot of things for women's hormones, health, menstrual, and it's just delectable. So I've been doing a lot of black chicken, and I would encourage people to try that. Black silky chicken is the varietal, but it's off the moon. It's just delectable.
Okay, now hold it.
Yeah.
I've heard of blackened chicken, but you're
Oh,
talking about black chicken. This is
yeah.
a different kind of chicken that, even though I sort of
You
sometimes
know
go
what?
to Whole Foods to get a better
Ask,
chicken.
yes, ask and you shall receive. In the name of being unprofessional for a second, I'm going to walk off set and I'm going to emerge with a black chicken in 2 seconds if I'm allowed to
Okay.
do that.
All
Okay.
right. While she's doing that, take a look at that elephant. What's the elephant in the room for you? Do you
Exactly.
have one of
The
those?
elephant
She's
in
going to
the
bring
room.
us a black chicken.
Oh, stick with me, kid. I'm full of surprises
Oh,
because
I know you are.
all
That's
right.
why.
I like to under promise and over deliver. So you just happened to mention it. I happen to have one here. This is thawing right now because I'm doing it tomorrow. So it's frozen. Comes in here's a little price tag just to show you that this years ago when I was in the gourmet world, black chicken was like $100 for a little chicken. If you go to an Asian shop, you can get this for approximately $15. So it's a steal. And so this is frozen. It's almost thawed. I'm thawing it. And I'm going to spatchcock that, that sounds like a naughty word or a Scrabble word or a safe word. No, it's not that kind of a video. I'm just seeing who's falling asleep and who's paying attention. But you'll never invite me on this podcast again.
I sure will.
Spatchcocking, for anyone, thank you, who's not familiar with it, is where you cut out the backbone. You go to that little preacher's collar part of the fat that you'll see, and you cut out the backbone, and you splail out the bird like an airplane. And you can use the backbone for broth, or you can nuke it in the microwave and put salt on it and eat around it, put the bones out for birds. But when you spatchcock, of course, the chicken cooks faster, it cooks more evenly, and it's more tender. So for poultry, I always spatchcock. So tomorrow, I will be spatchcocking this black chicken. But as you can see, without dripping on the computer, this is black. The skin is black, even frozen through the bag, black. When you cut into it, the meat is blue-black, so it's not white chicken or dark. And it is like having chicken thighs the whole way. It's all like a dark, soft, juicy, and spurting meat. There is no stringy, rubbery, dry stuff. And the black skin, when you just put this under the broiler, even in an oven, you don't have to grill, and you spatchcock it 10 minutes aside in the broiler. I flip it 10 minutes on each side, and then I just put beautiful fleur de sel sea salt that won't raise blood pressure, that has some of those trace minerals, calcium, magnesium, potassium. Oh my, I get so excited about it. So I put fleur de sel sea salt on it when it comes out. You never want to put it in before because that'll dry out the food. You take it out, you put the salt on, and you just, in a bacchanalian, hedonistic way, rip it apart. All Emily Post etiquette flies out the window, and you are in this carnal fury, grease running down the chin, biting pockets of elastin and skin and bones and knobs. It is wonderful, and I'm telling you, I eat black chicken probably 3 times a week, and I just love it. I love it. And it's, yeah. So if you can find a black silky, it's Silkie. Silky is the varietal, and they are in a lot of Asian shops. You can even see Asian writing from this company that is out in Vancouver, I believe, and they supply to a lot in the States. But that's, and no one, I am not a brand ambassador, and nobody is paying me to say this about the black chicken. I am just elaborating because I love it. So that's from my heart to yours and my palate, but I eat a lot of black chicken. So that long-winded or winged answer to your food question, but that and tomahawk steak chops are keeping me happy.
Wow, I am for sure going to do that. I'm going to go
Good,
figure
good.
out, I don't know where there's an Asian food shop, but
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. With Google,
Good.
now we can find everything, right?
Yeah, yes. And you may be able to order some online, but then you pay for shipping and dry ice. So if you can find one in a little shop, but they're just, you'll never, I've been eating black chicken for years, and I don't think, unless a guest in someone's home, and then I'm polite and I eat what I'm served, but I don't think I've eaten regular chicken in years. I mean, I just eat only black chicken. It's just because of the health and the taste and the flavor And I love it. And I chew the bones. I scrape every single thing. Nothing is wasted. So I look forward to hearing what you think. It's really, really special.
Okay, so now I watch your videos, and you're cooking up some amazing things.
Thank you.
How do you stay so thin?
Oh my goodness. Thank you very much. That's very kind. While I eat more than anyone I know, more than men, I have yet to meet a man who eats as much as I do. But that would be fun. But I always have the lion's share, and with anyone, it just is. But I eat once a day. So I'm having an enormous meal. And then if I don't have enough, I notice that I get a little bingy, and I'm like, gee, should I boil some eggs? What else can I in the day? And I don't like feeling like that. I've learned that I'm not a grazer. I don't like snacks. I don't want to eat every 2 hours the size of a deck of cards or whatever they say is proper. And I don't like the inconvenience of having to make some quick thing because I'm hungry, because for me to eat is a ceremonial experience. I want to linger. I want it to be over hours. I want conversation. I want to take my shoes off. I want to be wearing what I want to wear. I want to be comfortable and messy. I eat with my hands. When I say that, people think I'm a barbarian. I can eat with chopsticks, and I can use every fork in a formal restaurant, and I can use snail tongs, and I won't embarrass anyone if they take me to dinner. But at home, I eat everything. I pick up the chicken. I pick up the steak. I like to be as close to the food as possible. Utensils are strictly for public. And I eat with my hands. And so to answer your question, I eat once a day, and also what I eat. I don't eat junk, and I don't like sweets. I'm a saltstress all the way. So I'm not eating sugar. I do drink my cognac daily, and I love it. And so obviously those are some calories that a lot of people who don't drink are not getting. And I don't eat corn, soy, wheat. So there's a lot that I don't eat that may be de rigueur in the typical American diet. But then I think today everyone eats so differently. Some people live on shakes, and some people live on bars, and that's a whole culture. And my mother is a vegan, and my sister is a vegan, and my niece is a vegan. Oh, it's a cult, let me tell you. It's a coup. It's a conspiracy. No, I believe everyone, and that's what I also promulgate so much passionately and believe in so sincerely, that we all must have what we love and what loves us. And for each of us, those are very different things. And so I would never push. If someone says, oh my goodness, I don't eat any chicken or any meat, fine, you don't have to. I don't want to convert anybody to something. Do what your body, your system, and it changes with age, with hormones, with things. So you have to honor. Maybe years ago you loved a huge plate of pasta, and maybe at a certain age that doesn't serve you well. And so you have to improvise. You have to go with it. But I don't eat wheat. I haven't eaten gluten and wheat for decades and decades and decades. And the same with soy, the same with corn, the same with junk food. My salts are a certain kind of salt, not Morton's, but I don't go out to eat where restaurants have the bloating salt. They sneak in sugar. So I cook all my own food. I know what's in there. And that has a lot to do with the fact right now that I'm unfortunately a little more sedentary and not as active physically as I am prioritizing in the new year. That for health, I think it's very important to find a way to circulate a little more and get out, take a walk. I watch you run, and it's very inspiring just to see you on the beach doing your videos walking. And I say, oh, look, there's a human, Laurie, walking. Imagine that. Look at that. Look, he's putting a foot in front. Look at that. See, you can do this. You can. So it's important. But the reason that I am not 400 pounds when I eat the way I do, approximately 4,000 calories a day, and a sedentary lifestyle, is because of what I eat. Mm-hmm. It is not laden with sugar and chemicals and the white Morton salt. Yeah.
Well, my next trip that I'm taking a group of people on is April 15th to Vietnam. And I was looking at the itinerary, and I think on the 4th day we're going to dinner and we're going to eat snake. Wow. That scares me.
Oh, I know. Well, as long as it's not alive and it doesn't swim up and bite you or something, that's very interesting. I know snake soup is a very popular thing in some cultures. I have not had snake. I've never been offered snake. Ironically, because I special order kangaroo and camel and all of those things, and so it's odd that I somehow have missed the snake.
Yeah.
I don't like snakes. The only snakes I don't like, of course, are three kinds, and that's big snakes, little snakes, and sticks that look like snakes. But other than that, no. I've heard that somewhere in this world, and I've been wanting to use it, but
There you go.
I don't like the idea of snakes. I've never been some people love reptiles, or they love beetles and spiders, and especially kids, some of them pick up the snakes, and unless it's on a handbag or a pair of boots, I'm not, that isn't for me. I'm not for the snakes. But if I was served snake as a food, I would try it, and I would have the snake soup or whatever it was, provided it was cooked and not junk. I'm not going to eat any exotic thing just to eat it. It still has to be healthful. Like the chicken, I don't want the chicken breaded and gunked up with butter and sugar and stuffing, and it just clean, some sea salt. So I'm very eager to hear how the snake is, what else you eat there, what your favorite thing. I always ask people, what was your favorite thing that you ate lately? And so what is something lately that has been your favorite thing, even if it was a boiled or poached egg that you had this morning? What has been delicious the most lately for you within the past week?
Well, for me, I'm really enjoying cooking breakfast. I make eggs, I try to make them sunny side up, sort of, but every time I flip it, they kind of break, but that's okay. And then I have
delectable ooze.
Yeah, I have a little organic sausage with it, and an avocado, and I put in some chive and onion cream cheese into the center of it so that it kind of mushes up there. That's my favorite breakfast now.
That is so fun. And you do it, so you have a whole little colorful routine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have it all together, or do you have one, and then after you eat that, you make the eggs, or is it all on a plate? Or
all together on a plate.
Nice.
Yep. I just had it right before this podcast.
Do you have any coffee or tea or chai or something?
Nope, I drink alkaline water with it.
Okay.
I'm not into coffee or chai or tea or anything like that. Just
you're so healthful.
Yeah.
Now, do you do the
alkaline water?
Oh my goodness. Do you do the mushroom brew that these people who drink powdered mushrooms or something? No. So it's just water.
It's just alkaline water.
Do you drink anything else ever in the day, or only water?
Well, every once in a while, because I'm trying to not do this, my vice is Coca-Cola. I love Coca-Cola. So I sneaked one yesterday at the beach.
Well, I think that, what was it, Lincoln, who said that it has been my experience that those who don't have vices have very few virtues. And so I think the human balance is about knowing when to honor a little piece of cake or something you like. And if you like a cold, nice, refreshing Coca-Cola, then I say have it. And you eat so healthfully, and you're such a fitness advocate, and you don't just talk the talk, you run the walk, and all of it. So I think you're entitled to have your Coke when you want it. Doesn't sound like you're drinking 40 of them every day. So
I would if I could.
Yeah, I know. All these things are so delicious. I would eat 20 steaks a day too, but at some point I stop. But food is fun. Food is so fun. And I love that you have this beautiful breakfast. I always say, find what you love, because those little rituals really they're so special. They bring some happiness.
Yeah. So now, Laurie-Beth, over the last couple years or so, we've talked about you moving.
Yes.
Out of the cold.
Yes.
You were looking at California. You were looking at Arizona, probably a couple other places. You asked for my advice, but you're still there in the cold. What's up with that?
I know. It's funny. What do they say? Make plans and God laughs. But in 2024, if not before, in these last 3 weeks, I am moving, and that's getting deduced now, thankfully. I had a lot of things that started coming in. My mother, who was in South Carolina, moved up to the north. My dogs died. I had all of these things, some of them good, some of them not so fun. But boy, did I have a lot to navigate. And it was almost like the universe was saying, and God was certainly saying, it's not prudent to go running anywhere right now. And then, of course, we had the lockdown, or it may have been right after the lockdown, and everything where I was looking, California, everyone was leaving. I mean, it was becoming, and so everything that I would look at, suddenly there was a very loud, resounding resistance. And I kept thinking, you can fight the current and you can be stubborn, which I wanted to from an ego place, that I want to move and I want sunshine and I just want to be on a beach and blah. But I realized there's probably a reason that it's not falling into place. And when it is supposed to, you're going to be far clearer with what you're doing and who you are and who you're not and what's in your life. And now I miss my doglings so much, but I also realize I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have moved smoothly with these aging, dying dogs, two of them. At different stages of dying, but that wouldn't have been conducive to a smooth move. Yeah. And to launching, speaking, and cognac tasting for 2024, a lot of exciting things I'm doing. And I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would be home with dogs. And so a lot of these things, even though they were painful as anything at the time, God does move in mysterious ways. And I do believe that things happened for growth, of course, and lessons, but they also held me where I was, or put me in close proximity now in Maine, temporarily, but still cold and still New England, for a reason. And so I've learned, don't defy that, don't fight the current, but don't drop your dreams and your goals either, because at the right second, be ready. Be ready. You had this desire years ago. When it's right, you will know it and be ready to do it. So that is coming. I do not believe I'm destined to be Miss Maine. So I do think that we will probably meet up in a warmer port of call, and I look forward to it.
Yeah. So in the future, what's the future for you? Is it wide open, or do you have plans? Can you tell us?
Yes, I always stay a little open, because I do believe we have to be open to wonderful opportunities. And I don't like rigidity. I don't like turtlenecks. I don't like feeling, I want open-toed shoes. I don't like being boxed in, and I want that freedom to take a wonderful opportunity if I feel that I could give something wonderful, bring something to the table. I'm keeping some space open, but I am launching quite a speaking. What I can say is the world has heard of the wonderful Tony Robbins, of course, and the world has heard of the wonderful Mel Robbins and even the plant-based Ocean Robbins. But I think, if I may be so humble and shy, that amid these divisive times where humor and love and a different, somewhat irreverent, but maybe a gourmet speckled touch that isn't out there with traditional inspirational, motivational speakers, I would like to believe the world is ready for Laurie-Beth Robbins, and I am certainly ready to deliver.
Yes, you are. I think you are. So if someone wants to reach out to you or wants to see what you're saying, what's the best place for them to do that?
Right now, the best way is on Facebook, Laurie-Beth Robbins on Facebook. I have an open page. It's not locked of privacy, and so someone can send me a friend request, and they can send me a messenger note. I respond to absolutely every note I get, so long as it's kind. So I will not respond to rudeness. I will not honor that if it does not deserve that, or any kind of shady, covert reason that someone wrote. I'm not on a Tinder site. It's not that kind of a thing. But if I get a legitimate note, I write back to every single note. I'm very passionate about that. I feel very strongly about it. And I have a very interactive Facebook feed. While Facebook only allows you to have 5,000 friends or something like this, it's what's going on, literally speaking to them on every thread and all day and every day. And there's a real connection, a real Facebook family there. And so when someone comes in, I get very excited to follow their doings, to learn who they are. And having met you on the almighty F book, I can say that how grateful am I, because as you were intimating in the beginning of our call, that there's a lot to say about social media that can be frustrating in these divisive times particularly, and dangerous with scams and so forth. And so you have to have your radar and antennae up. But there's a lot of connectivity, such as ours and others, that helps people align with like-minded energy and people doing things to help hold the plane up in this world. You're certainly one of them, and your whole bevy and bastion and echelon of people who are with you in all of your cruises and all of your seminars and your Abraham Hicks and everything you're doing are all of that mindset. And so I think when you come into a platform like Facebook and can connect with like-minded people, that's one of the wonderful things that Zuckerberg got right.
Yeah. So, Laurie-Beth, it has been way more than a dozen words that I didn't understand here, but I'm going to go back and review them and I'm going to learn from them. I always learn from you. And
Likewise.
That's one of the cool things about you and the people that are involved with our community and our listeners here. We're all learning together. We're all passionate. We're all addressing the elephant in the room. And thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much. The pleasure was mine. And I learned from you too. And it's an honor.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing the things that happen in the next 3 weeks and then beyond for you. Have a beautiful, beautiful holiday season.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye.